Imagine you're the vice president of a really big airline, and an analyst comes to you and tells you that their new pricing strategy has increased revenue by 32%. You can clearly see that out of the 10 routes that were tested, 9 of them came out a winner, with some even seeing gains over 60%. Do you think that this is enough information to conclude that this pricing strategy is revenue maximizing? Not even close. Because the analyst fell for a very, very common mistake known as averaging the average, which will be the topic of this video. My name is Matt, and I've been working with data for many years now, and I've seen a lot of mistakes in the field coming from myself and from others. And my goal is to expose you to these mistakes so that you don't get caught in them. So why is it dangerous to take the average of an average? There's basically 4 reasons. Number 1, it ignores the weights. An average by definition takes a lot of observations and reduces it to one number. And then when you take an average of all of those averages, it just loses complete meaning because you're essentially saying that an average of 1,000 observations has the same weight as an average of 10 observations, which can lead to very misleading results. The second reason is that it's tempting to do, and if you're working on an analysis and trying to get something out quickly, it can easily happen. I'm from the future of this video. Make sure you stay till the end because I have an extra tip to share. Which brings me to my third point, which is that it's incredibly easy to make this mistake. And it's not like any software is going to catch on to the fact that you're doing this. Because it's not technically incorrect. It's just that most of the time it's going to produce very misleading results. Now let's go back to the example. Why is it that this chart is wrong and misleading? But just by looking at it, it looks like this new pricing strategy is solid. 9 out of 10 routes are doing better with it. We're seeing very high double-digit percentage increases. The thing that this isn't capturing is the weight that is coming from each of these routes. So it's not fair to say that each of these 10 routes are equal in weight, which is essentially what this chart is doing. In reality, the London to Toronto route represents more than 15 times the weight of the other routes. So even though there's only one route that isn't doing well, the one route that isn't doing well is super important. In this case, this pricing strategy has actually made us lose 6% of revenue. And since this test was conducted over a 1-month period, this would actually end up costing the company over $3 million if we decided to roll out the strategy on all of our routes. So how do you fix this and ensure that this never happens in your analyses? And I'll give you 3 points. The first thing you need to do is look at the data that you're about to average and ensure that it hasn't already been aggregated in some way. The second thing is if you see that the data has already been aggregated, then go back a step and do this average at the raw data level. And the third thing you can do, if it's already been aggregated and you can't go back, is to use a weighted average. Now for this extra tip that I wanted to share, even though I've been making the case this whole video that you should never take averages of averages, there are some cases where it could be useful. Like even in this case, the fact that 9 of the 10 routes did perform better with this strategy might mean that it is beneficial on a certain subset of groups and not for some others. Maybe the fact that the London-Toronto didn't do well is just because it has something to do with British people that didn't have to do with the rest of the world. So making a statement like 90% of routes performed better is correct. And even making statements like the average gain with this new pricing strategy is 32% is still correct. It just doesn't mean that you're going to gain 32% in revenue no matter where you put this new pricing strategy. Just be aware of this whenever you're thinking of taking the average of an average.